President Joe Biden in Minnesota today. It was part of what his administration calls his barnstorming tour of rural America to tout his plans to make the heartland better. He hit up a family farm in Northfield, but his visit was and is also an opportunity for Minnesotans who take issue with his positions with Israel when it comes to the war in the Middle East. First thing this morning, a group gathered to make it plain. Biden has lost their support due to his administration's support for Israel's war in Gaza. I'm talking about a group of Muslim American leaders in our state who certainly don't speak for all Muslims. No group is monolithic. But Kent, this group's influence and ability to mobilize voters in their community has been one that's been pivotal for the Democratic Party, right?
Yeah, it absolutely has, Jana. These same leaders have helped mobilize tens of thousands of Muslim and Arab American voters for Biden and for other Democrats in recent years. But after spending weeks pleading with the president to push for a ceasefire in Gaza, they say they have given up, organizing protests against his visit today and vowing to help defeat him in November.
What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now!
Before the protests that followed President Biden throughout his trip in Minnesota,
stopping the madness,
Muslim leaders in Minneapolis gathered to announce that they have lost faith in an administration they have spent years supporting.
Last Friday, in a press conference, we asked Mr. Biden if he was on the side of life. We heard nothing. Mr. President, you've abandoned us.
we will organize.
The leaders say they are now mobilizing a campaign to not only abandon Biden, but to actively organize against him.
50,000 Muslim voters plus will not be voting for President Biden in the upcoming 2024 election. This is not a faint promise. This is a guarantee.
Though that would still represent just a small fraction of Minnesota voters. Those following a similar movement among Muslim and Arab American voters nationally say protests and elections show they are well organized and can't be ignored.
I've done a lot of stories on this demographic group in this state might hurt this candidate. And I have to say, I've never encountered the intensity and the unanimity that I've heard talking to Muslim voters across the country, where it's just every single one to a person is furious.
Alex Seitz-Wald, senior political reporter for NBC News Online, says it also marks a furious reversal. A post-election poll conducted by the Council on American Islamic Relations found that 69% of Muslim American voters backed Biden in 2020. And in 2024, he says they figure to play pivotal roles in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania.
These just so happen to be the most important electoral states, but they also happen to have fairly large Muslim populations. And if you go through the numbers like we did, there are, at least theoretically, easily large enough portions of Muslim voters to swing the election away from Joe Biden. The one thing I would say, we're a year out from the election. As Joe Biden always says, don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the other guy. And right now, we're not hearing a lot from the other guy, who's probably going to be Donald Trump.
The Trump travel ban.
Trump did tell voters in Iowa 2 weeks ago that he would expand his former travel ban for Muslim-majority countries, including a new push to bar refugees from Gaza, calling them a threat to U.S. security.
Today, we make it very clear for President Biden.
But today, Muslim leaders remained undeterred.
As American Muslims, we have suffered under many presidents through different types of policies. But this particular is a big red line. We believe by not electing Biden and him losing, it will reset the political discourse on the American Muslim vote. We believe that if Trump becomes a president, 4 years under him, how horrible it could be, is never equivalent to one night in Gaza.
Though President Biden was the focus of this group today, the leaders said that they will also organize opposition to any local elected leader who has not supported a ceasefire. But with many in both parties in favor of the current support for Israel right now, Jana, it's not known how that will translate in the year ahead.
And there were several protests we're going to get into today. Are they all linked to that group that you met with today, or different groups?
Well, this group said that they were part of organizing 3 of those protests, the one at the airport you saw, the one at 5, but there are other groups a lot of times that have also helped organize, and that's kind of the case today from what we're understanding.